Food is not the problem, it's the symptom that survived. Most people think eating disorders are about food, calories, carbs, control. They're wrong. Food is just a stage. The real story happens somewhere else. In the mind, in early relationships, in emotions that once felt too dangerous to have. An eating disorder is not a failure of discipline. It's a survival strategy that once worked when nothing else did. Chapter 1. The perfect salad. Let me tell you about someone. She orders the perfect salad. Every day. No dressing, extra lemon. Protein counted. Calories memorized. Everyone around her says, "Wow, you're so disciplined." What they don't see is what happens later that night. The silence. The kitchen light turned on at 2 a.m. The sudden urgency, not hunger, something else. A feeling rising from inside saying, "Now, eat everything." This is the first major misunderstanding. Eating disorders are not a lack of willpower. They are too much willpower, until the psyche can't hold it anymore. Like holding your breath underwater. At first it feels powerful, clean, calm. But eventually, the body rebels, because survival always wins over control. Chapter 2. What eating disorders really regulate. From a psychodynamic perspective, eating disorders regulate emotions, not hunger. Food becomes a sedative, a punishment, a reward, a language. Some people eat to feel less. Some people stop eating to feel something. Because when emotions feel unsafe, the body becomes the battlefield. Think about it. You can't control your parents, you can't control separation, you can't control abandonment or trauma, but you can control your plate. At least, that's the illusion. Over time, the control slowly shifts, from the person to the symptom. Chapter 3. Anorexia. I don't need. Anorexia is often misunderstood as wanting to be thin. It isn't. At its psychological core, anorexia says, I don't need, I don't depend. I will survive without asking. Many anorexic patients learned very early that needing was dangerous. Maybe love was inconsistent. Maybe comfort came with conditions. Maybe dependency felt humiliating. So the psyche makes a decision. If I need nothing, I cannot be disappointed. Hunger becomes proof of strength. Emptiness becomes safety. Puberty then becomes a threat, a changing body, emerging sexuality, the demand to separate from parents. So the anorexic body does something radical. It stops time. It refuses adulthood. It becomes the eternal daughter. Not because the body is hated, but because growing up feels more dangerous than disappearing. Chapter 4. Bulimia. Too much, then nothing. Bulimia tells a different story. Bulimia is not emptiness. It is emotional overflow. It's the person who says, I'm fine. No, really, I'm okay. Until they're not. The binge is not about pleasure, it's about relief. A temporary shutting down of the mind. For a few minutes, the inner conflict goes quiet. And the purge, that's not about weight either. It's about undoing. About erasing dependency. About restoring control. Bulimia lives in extremes, omnipotence, then shame, desire, then punishment, too much, then nothing. It's a constant inner battle between rebellion and submission. Chapter 5. Binge eating. This is the only care I get. Binge eating disorder is often the most judged and the least understood. People say, just stop eating so much. But binge eating is often the only moment of kindness a person gives themselves. Food becomes company, comfort, silence, a pause button. Food doesn't criticize, it doesn't leave, it doesn't ask questions. For some people, food is the most reliable relationship they've ever had. Not because they're weak, but because they've been strong for too long. Chapter 6. Why recovery is so hard. Recovery is terrifying, not because of weight gain, but because when the eating disorder leaves, everything else comes back. Feelings, memories, anger, grief. The eating disorder wasn't the problem, it was the solution, a painful one, a destructive one, but often the only one available at the time. And no one gives up a solution until they feel safe enough to find a better one. That's why psychiatry and psychodynamic therapy never ask, why don't you just stop? They ask, what would you have to face if you did? So, if you or someone you love struggles with an eating disorder, remember this. This is not about food. This is not about vanity. This is not about discipline. It's about unmet needs trying to survive in the only way they know. Healing doesn't start with a meal plan. It starts with being allowed to feel without punishment, without shame. Sometimes the most radical thing you can do is allow yourself to be human. A messy, imperfect human,